Well, happy Friday. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. I have got to ask you, just a moment before I went live, I heard a crazy clicking noise. Did you hear it? Now I hear a clicking in that room. It's something's, but I heard a clicking right here. So let me know if anything sounds weird because I am trying to troubleshoot my stuff lately. It's so hard, but I am trying. Welcome back and happy Friday. You made it. It is cocktail night again, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into this extraordinary book, Hook into the Past. This is a British book, and this is a very small press. I don't know that this is findable at all, to be honest. And I hope that that's not frustrating because we're looking at so much of it. And oh shoot, I just dropped my bookmark. And the content is really, it's extraordinary. It's a perfect for me. It's the perfect mix of real history, like a true history book, with so many pictures of hookers and rug makers in the north of England in the 20th century. So it's an exceptional book. It really is. But I think it is one of these books, and there isn't an author um, immediately listed. It's Tyne Bridge Publishing. Let me see. I know Ellie Rind is one of them. It just says, there isn't an author. It just says edited by Ellen Phaetian, Phethean. Let me show you. So it is a tough book to track down, but just in case you really enjoy tonight, or maybe you watched the last episode we did, I guess that was Monday. It really was exceptional. It's an exceptional book, really magical, particularly for those of you history buffs, for sure. Big emphasis on history. So let me say good evening, and then we will dig in. Melanie, it's great to see you. Happy Friday from wet and cold Washington. Have some Boom Chica popcorn. What is that? Having Boom Chica popcorn? Ooh, is it popcorn? That sounds fantastic. I need something. I don't have anything. I wonder if anyone's out there to hear me. I'll wait a little bit before I scream. I need something. Sharon, great to see you. Happy Friday from also wet and cold Vancouver, British Columbia. Oh no. Carol, great to see you. Happy Friday cocktail night from Northford. What a beautiful day. Was it a beautiful day in Mass? I'm trying to remember if it was a beautiful day here. It was a good day here. I think you had it maybe more beautiful. I would say it was maybe it was okay. It was just okay. But I'm happy that the sun is making its way around. It's good to share that, isn't it? April, great to see you. Happy cocktail night from Illinois. Great to see you. Melissa, great to see you. Good evening, rum and coke. Cheers, my dears. I need to get a beverage of some sort. We'll see if anyone pops their head in and checks on me. I was racing around until a second ago because we had a bit of a thing a minute ago where one of Teddy's friends was supposed to come over, and I mean, I just don't know. I just don't know how to communicate any better than I do. I feel like I do really well. I mean, I really do. It's like one of the only things I feel like I'm pretty good at communicating. Um, and I asked him 100 times if I was supposed to go pick his friend up or if the mom was dropping him off, and he was absolutely certain the mom was dropping him off, and maybe that was the case. But then she texted and said, and then he wasn't coming, and it was like 40 minutes late, and then it was too late for me to go pick him up. And I looked at my phone, and the mother said, "Oh, are the kids supposed to be getting together?" And I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, they planned it like a week ago." And she said, "Oh, I got really late for my event." It sounded like she knew she was supposed to drop him off, but then she got herself late, and then she couldn't, and it was too late for me too. And I felt bad because Teddy was like, oh well. What can one do? I mean, I asked 100. You know what I'll do next time? I'm just going to go pick whoever it is. I'm just going to go pick them up. And then I'll worry about dropping them off later because I know that I trust myself. I know that if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I will absolutely be there. No question about it. It's hard to plan on that with other people, and kids get so disappointed. So we were doing that 30 seconds ago, but I think he's fine. I think he's just disappointed. Sharon, got a non-alcoholic Guinness. That stuff is great. That is really good. I like that as well as anything. Really, really good. Rolling around the pantry. Oh, you're lucky. There was a rogue in there waiting for you. Yeah, that is really good. Karen, great to see you. Karen, I love the photo you sent. I think I'll put that into gallery night, which won't be coming up very soon. I have to tell you and remind you. So this coming week, I'll be with you definitely on Monday. We'll figure out what we're going to do, but I'll be with you on Monday. Starting on Thursday, I go to Cape Cod for this is my big vacation of the year. Oh, I have to put it up on Ribbon Candy Hooking too, that if there's orders in there, just give me a couple of weeks, depending on when you order it. As soon as I'm back, I'll start banging orders out again. But we go from Thursday the 22nd until June 7th. So that's a long time, I know. But as I always say, I'll be with you and recording videos, and I'll be doing stuff like that. So there is some content coming to you. But I won't be doing live shows because the signal there is awful. We're on a pond at that point. But I will be coming to you with other things so that you don't forget about the great thing that we have going where we check in on each other all the time. Jossie, when you come back out, can you get me some water? She's got her earphones on. Anyway, we'll figure all that out. So it'll probably be, if I come back on Saturday the 7th, that means the next Friday is the 13th, Friday the 13th. So I think the next gallery night will be June, Friday the 13th. So you might as well send stuff in, so I have it ready and I can put it together, and we're good to go in that regard. So I'm already looking forward to that. Mom, I meant to remind you, and you remembered. Happy Friday night. Great to see you. Ryan, great to see you. TGIF is right. Is it hot there in North Texas? Oh, you're loving it. It's already hot, huh? Mocktails tonight. Oh, it's a non-alcoholic night here. How funny. Some of us. Melissa, I'm not calling you out or anything. I'm looking for some booze for sure, but we'll see if anyone comes my way. Peace and love to you too, Linda B in New Jersey. Happy Saturday Eve, and cheers from Jersey. Great to see you. Oh shoot, Sharon says it is on Amazon. This book, it's $160. Isn't supply and demand a you know what? I mean, really, isn't it? I mean, that is bonkers. It will, put the searches in and everything. It will. You know what I could do, since we don't know what year this is, because there is absolutely not a year. I wonder, well, you know what I have to tell you? I could reach out to one of our friends in England and see if it's there, like with the scanner or something, see if it's possible to ship like a bunch over, because there should be copies of this book, even though this is a British hooking book. There should be copies in the US too. There's not so very many that we shouldn't have a really great one that really digs deep into history. We should really have this one here too, because we enjoy it just as much as everybody. It's our shared history, right? Not so much the World War II bombing things, gutting things part, but all the other parts is our shared history. I'll see what I can do on my end to get some over here. Catherine, great to see you. Cheers, my dears, on Friday. I've been trying to find a source for the book. Still have some inquiries out. Okay, great. Let me know if you dig anything up. Let me know if I can help with anything. I would love to see this book circulating over here. It is exceptional. Sandy, great to see you. Happy Friday night. Carol, happy Friday night. Happy cocktail night in Wisconsin. Sunny and lovely. Catherine says, I truly stumbled over this book at World of Books UK. Yeah, but they have no more. But a lot of those big warehouse book things, just like for us here, like there's so many that are linked to eBay and Abe Books, they're there too. It's just such a small press, Newcastle Libraries, and it was put out by the Newcastle City Council with what looks like lottery money. It was funded by the lottery. That's one of the things they do over there with their lottery money, is they shave some off and do like great grant type projects with it, rather than just like rolling it in and wiping your armpits with cash. They actually do some stuff with the lottery money that is helpful. So yeah, that's a to be continued. Danielle, great to see you. Happy Friday and welcome. Melanie says it's a sweet and salty popcorn, sort of like kettle corn. Okay, but lighter on the sweetener. Yeah, that sounds really good. Kettle corn for me is a little bit sweet, but something a little bit, I like a little bit sweet. I was just saying to Kirsten the other day, because I was with her, it's so weird the things that I like yearn for. Like, I love those gums, bubble gums that are like violet and rose, like the flower gums. Do you know what I mean? And like old-fashioned candies that have flower flavors. And I love flower ice cream. There's a place near my mom that has like rose or lilac and goat cheese ice cream. It sounds disgusting. It's amazing. It makes you crazy. Turns you into like a werewolf. It's fantastic. I love stuff like that. And I love stuff with like weird fruits and currants in it, like rum raisin ice cream, or Indian food that has like weird currants, Oh, I love stuff like that. Okay, here we go. Aldi's chocolate. Ooh, what? Danielle, Aldi's chocolate wine? Stop it. So is that like Bailey's or is it a bit more chocolatey? Ooh, I mean, there's an Aldi's right here in town. I didn't know that. Holy moly's. I would have definitely gone for that. Denise, great to see you in sunny Florida. You're back in Florida. I hope you had an easy trip. Joy, great to see you. Happy Friday. Carrie, happy Friday from everyone in Washington State and to you too. Good to see you. Okay, let's see. No, I'm being bad. No, that's great. That's great. I'm gonna look for that. Oh, the other day I found some. It's seasonal, right? Strawberry beer. I know strawberry wine, and it's just fine. There's the poetry of the evening right there. Strawberry beer at this brewery. It's called a something bear, like the animal like bear, something bears, um, in Putnam, Connecticut. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was so fresh and so perfumey, but it wasn't sweet. It was just amazing. But they don't sell anywhere but there, so that's handy, right? Sharon says, Amazon says publication year 2011. Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm going to write that inside the cover of the book. At least that brings us a little bit further with our clues. Okay, 2011. That gives me something else to check. We'll stay on top of it because this is one of those rare books that, it's just not there. But we are looking at it heavily. So you can lean into that, but I know it's not the same thing as holding it in your hand, and it's so tactile when you can keep it on the bedside table, and I get that. Ryan says 89 degrees at 6:08. That is Texas hot, isn't it? I may be a lizard person. Oh, we love you, lizard person. No, it sounds like a nice break after a weird winter. Catherine says 160. I think they were 25 to 30. That's still a lot, Catherine. Thank you so much for mine. I'll keep looking. Yes. Oh, super. Leah, how are you feeling? You doing better? Great to see you. Happy Friday. Danielle says, Judy, $8.99. And okay. I thought you meant the book. I was like, that's a great deal. I'm getting that. I'm getting that chocolate wine for vacation. That sounds amazing. I don't like Bailey's, so I'm hoping it's not quite that. Doesn't Bailey's has that really distinctive flavor, and I think chocolate just sounds smoother and more general somehow, not quite so sweet. Oh, Joe, great to see you. It was a warm day in West Springfield. You're exhausted from the heat. Too much, too fast. Hello, Helen and everyone. Great to see you. I'm totally trying it. I'm totally trying it. Lucky, it's 1 degree above freezing there. Oh, Leah, that is cold. Okay, good. You're a little bit better. Chocolate wine. And Denise says, me going to Aldi's tomorrow. I think we're all going to be hitting Aldi's up tomorrow. That sounds amazing. I have to tell you, I have to fill you in a little bit on the weekend because it was an exceptional weekend. Maybe you saw some of the videos. It wasn't the weekend, was it? It's not the weekend. It felt like the weekend because I drove to Vermont on Wednesday. And are you in the kitchen? I can't hear anything. I drove to Vermont because of the Green Mountain Rug Show, right? And classes and the vendor event. So the Green Mountain Guild was having their rug show, their famous rug show. And it's called Hooked in the Mountains, and this is 2025. And I was really pleased and proud that they invited me up the day that the things were hung, but before people started coming in, so that we could get in there. I could get in with a camera, and we could record a video, and we could watch it here, and I could post it on the Tigger site as well. I was very happy to be able to do that because as soon as people start milling around, it's hard enough to get noise when you're walking around under control. But as soon as people start milling around and exclaiming, "Oh, isn't that nice?" it's really hard to get videos. So I was super happy to be able to go up on Wednesday. I took the video with Suzanne and Jen in the afternoon. Jen was the camera person. It was a beautiful exhibit. It was extraordinary. And you know, there's a big video of it. There's like a 46-minute video of it on ribbon candy hooking, so you can look at that. Where I talked through with Suzanne quite a few of the pieces. There were many pieces I didn't get to, and I didn't cover the absolutely, amazing insects exhibit, only because I photographed it and videoed that when I saw that same exhibit at Tigger, Niagara Falls in 2024. So that's why I didn't do it again. I was trying to save my fire for things we hadn't seen yet. I saw some of Grace Colette's exceptional work as well, but I've shown it here. and we've spent time with Grace. So that's why I didn't do that. You know, I would never cut Grace out. I was trying to only catch pieces that we hadn't looked at before. And I think I did that in a quite long video, which was really nice. And I could see the vendors weren't open. Everyone was getting ready for a little party. And I stayed for a little while. And then I get kind of, I don't get overwhelmed. I just get tired, you know, because I talk to so many people and so many people are there. And I recognize so many people. I visited with everyone for a little while. And then I lost my keys. And then I took off. And it was wonderful. But there was no selling at that moment. And I saw some beautiful wool, dyed curls, really fancy fibers. Door Mill was there. Ravensgate Primitive was there. A Mad River fiber was there. That's Susan. I taught at Mad River a few years ago. That was that was an overfull class. We had such a good time though. I love seeing her stall. It's one of my all-time favorites. Peachy Bean was there with her like professional setup. It looked beautiful. And we talked on the video about the classes that they were doing and who was teaching them. Really big names teaching, like Michelle Palmer. Very fun, very different. So I hope that you catch that video. And then I went over to stay with my friend Kirsten for the night. And we recorded 4 videos. I've posted one of them so far. I'm going to kind of stagger them. But we were looking at, I know you know Kirsten's work because she's part of Ribbon Candy Hooking. She has a tab in the Ribbon Candy Hooking store. I hope that you watch those videos too, because for those of you who love Kirsten's work and can picture it as like very painterly, very fine, very impressionistic, very bewildering. Like, how does she do it? It's impossible to say how she does it. The only way to get any kind of a grasp on how she hooks up her very distinctive style is to watch a video like the 4 that we recorded in great depth, because it's not the kind of style you can put on paper. It's best to hear her saying the stream of consciousness, because then you kind of grasp part of it and go, ooh, interesting, I would have never done that. So she's got lots of magic in the way that she works. And it looks impossible to me. It looks impossible. But it must be possible because she does it. So those are going to be 4 great videos that come at you, and only one of those is out yet. It was a great time. Loved being there. And one of the other funny things, thank you, Melissa, it was a fun video to record. Just catching up on the thread for a second. Oh, good. You all enjoyed that video. Diane, you've got spiced rum. You are the second rum drinker tonight. I am jealous. There's also some chocolate wine out there, I got to say. We took a break from our video stuff because the camera was literally so hot I had to put it in the fridge for a little while. So we took a break and went and had lunch, and we went into, guess what town? I'm going to give you a hint. Caswell Carpet people. This is the town I've been trying to work with all along. The Historical Society was shut. Castleton, Vermont. That is where the famous Caswell carpet, one of the most important textiles, a sewn rug, one of the most important textiles in the country, if not the world. It was made in a house that is now the Historical Society by Zorua Guernsey. And I've been back and forth with them several times, always kind of waiting in limbo, because I would love to take our Caswell pieces. If you're new to the brand, check Ribbon Candy Hooking. There's a bunch of Caswell carpet blocks. There's probably, I would say, 150 blocks out there right now that people have done, and I am desperate to do this exhibit. I saw the house. I saw the Guernsey house, and it's big. I can see a really good exhibit happening there. So I'm not going to let it go, but they weren't open. I was going to show up in person. That's like startling, isn't it? After all of these, I say all of these emails, they're like coming from me, and she wrote me back once. So anyway, we ate at a cute cafe called The Blue Cat. And I got very excited. It was nothing to do with the Caswell carpet, except I think that we know that the most famous, by far, square, because the Caswell carpet almost looks like a Baltimore album quilt, the most famous square by far in that rug is the Blue Cat. It's a cat, very folky, and he's done in blue. And this book, we talked about this in a video once and on the show, was written by an author in Castleton in 1949. And it is a cute juvenile book called The Blue Cat, and it is based on the Blue Cat, also from the Caswell carpet. So it was amusing and gratifying to know that the history of the carpet is still present there, at least in the name of the cafe on the main street, right? And I did see other things called The Blue Cat. So I thought that was interesting. Gail, good morning. Great to see you. So I'm going to stay on top of that. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. A lot of Elizabeth Swans tonight. A lot of Elizabeth Swans tonight. R. Okay. Elizabeth Swans. Come on. What's that reference? I got to know. What's wrong with me? I feel very slow. In any case, look for those great videos. They are wonderful. They really are wonderful. It was great being there. I wish I could have been there longer, but I'll tell you what, if you watch that video where I was going around the Green Mountain show, you saw that I was really taken with several pieces, right? There were several that really got me, and I managed to connect pretty much with everybody who was in the show afterward. And there were a couple people who I said, "Can I come back and come to your studio and do a video with you in the future?" Because just some work that was very, very different than I have ever seen before. And I know that a lot of you felt the same way watching that video. So that's a huge, oh, Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, God, I knew I was being stupid. Um, Thanks, Melissa. It's cool. You know, you're going to see the sweater one time because this is what I call 10-pound sausage in a 5-pound sack. It just doesn't close anymore. And I've lost all the weight I can lose. So thank you, though. It is a cutie. So to be continued on that, we've got some people to chase in Vermont, and they are way, way, way up north. But I'm going to chase them because, um, yeah, I saw some extraordinary work. It was very, very different, just innovative, different, very sort of heartfelt work, and I want to chase that a little bit. Also, as soon as I get back from Cape Cod, I have a date with Tad Richards. Do you follow our Facebook group, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club? He's a puncher. He's had to take quite a break for health reasons. He's feeling great now. He's back in action. He's got his studio all set up, ready for visitors, redone. And I'm going to go to him on, I think, Wednesday, June 11th, and do a video there with him. So that'll be another amazing artist video for you to watch. His punch needle is so different. It's so different. It's like fine art, border a little of an abstract feel, very graphic at least, very different. He's not like anybody else. And you know, when someone's different, it doesn't make them better. I don't want you thinking it's apples and oranges. Like, I love his work. He's amazing. Like, he's as amazing can be. But I bet you are too. So when I say things like, "Oh, this person is amazing," I don't want you feeling like that person's amazing and that person's also that person, but not necessarily me. We are all amazing, and we all do different work. We all do distinct, individual, apples oranges work. Our work is not like anybody else's work. Mine isn't, and yours isn't. So whatever work you're doing, whether love working on commercial patterns or doing original stuff, your work is unique and special, right? All of our work is. So never take it that way, right? Never take it that way. Keep going with your work. So let's get in here. Hooked into the Past. We made some progress on this new favorite, right? This book here on Monday during the Monday show, and I'm coming back to it here. If you didn't see the Monday show, oh, I forgot to put my necklace on. I'm putting it on. It's not too late, is it? If you enjoy the show and you're interested in the subject, I would say go back at your leisure, obviously, because it's always there, and look at the Monday show, because we got through about 20% of the book. I'm not going to do all of the book. It does get quite heavy into history and the why for a lot of stuff, because this book talks about rug making, rag rug making. So we're talking about hooky and proddy, sometimes called proggy, in the UK, in the northern UK. And you know, during the time that that this book is set, during this time, they're being bombed, right? This part of England is being bombed out of its mind. And that will be part of the story tonight, and it's a sad part. But it also explains the poverty, right? Even before the Second World War, right? It explains the poverty and just the sort of I don't want to use the term blue collar because that's not what I mean. It's mostly a mining community in the area that we're talking about when we look at this book. So you know, there are moments of comfort, right, in these communities. Moments of, I don't want to say anything more than comfort, because it's not like anybody gets rich around, you know, northern England at this time. Very few and far between. But you know, there are depths of despair, kind of poverty, and then there's just poverty where you can still make ends meet and be happy. And in this area, there's like just a history because of the nature of the work. Um, there's a history of it sort of the pendulum swinging quite far. So because of that, it's braided beads. I got it at a thrift store. When I have a picture out, I'm going to put it up a little higher. Sorry. This is my chance. Nobody notices anything that I do. So this is my chance to wear my stuff. And I always appreciate you noticing. So let's come back over here to our slideshow. And let's see what we have up next. Oops, wait a minute. Don't go crazy. Do not go crazy. Oh, okay. So I meant to say, and I did say, look out for Kirsten's videos. This is a screenshot of one of the videos that we did together. You can see we looked at about, I don't know, maybe 30 rugs or something over the course of 4 videos. I think you'll enjoy it lots. And this is today. I got this video this afternoon from 2 people I love very much. Kirsten on the left and Naomi of Ravensgate Primitives on the right. You know Naomi is the treasurer of Tigger along with me and the other girls who are on the Tigger board. And they are both great friends. I wasn't there with them because I was there the other day and I had to get back. But those are 2 of the faces I love the most. And it's great to see them together for the first time. So shout out to you 2. Now, hooked into the past. Let's pick up where we left off. Sorry if you're hearing the toilet flush right now. It is my daughter. I'm not sitting on the toilet. Can you ask Papa to get me a drink of some sort, please?
What?
Can you ask Papa to get me a drink of some sort, please? Okay, thank you. Anything would be great. Okay, so this one, for some reason, is popping up in... Oh, here she comes. Do you have pants on?
No.
Okay, she does not have pants on. Here comes Jocelyn to say Happy Friday. What are you doing, Joss? You going to say hi? You going to say hi, little face? We're going to go to Cape Cod soon?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take your snowball back. I've had your snowball for a long time. You want to talk? You want to talk
there
to?
Was originally a lot of air in it, but the tiny itsy bitsy hole.
Yes, I know. Well, that's she's lamenting that one of the toys is broken. It wasn't because I didn't do anything to it. I promise, because I was squeezing it. But it's kind of a general rule in this house, and I don't mean this offensively, but everything we own is broken or damaged. I mean, it's just one of the marks of the house. But luckily, everything we have is also crappy. So there's like we're not going to cry ourselves to sleep, right? Off she goes. Oh, wait a minute. She wants to show you one thing. Gail from Australia says, "Good day, Joss." Yep, she's showing off one of her new Squishmallows. It's one of the jumbos.
It's not a Squishmallow.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's a Squishable.
It's a Squishable. Sorry about that.
Squishmallows are real ovals with
okay.
on faces.
Not to be a jerk. Not to be a jerk, but just saying. It says Squishable. But I get it.
Squishable.
Oh, okay. I said Squishmallow. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm sorry I offend. Sorry about that. All right, coming back to the slideshow. All right, my lady. So this one is out of sequence. So let me see if I can find this real quick in the book. I don't know how this got out of sequence. I'm sorry about that. I mean, it fits in with the story, of course, but I want to tell you who these lovely ladies are before I click away from the picture. These look like more contemporary ladies, right? Maybe not. Oh, I feel like we're getting warmer. Hang on. Oh, there they are. Okay. Wallsend Hooky and Proddy Circle. Okay, there's a lot of talk about this organization in this book called the Wallsend Hooky and Proddy Circle. That's the name of the club. So this is 2 of the ladies there. This is 1977, demonstrating in Howdon, Howdon. The lady on the left was one of 16. The mothers of both these ladies was one of 16. The mothers of both these ladies made mats to supplement the family income when they were children. Okay. These are all older ladies in the photo for sure. It's interesting to know that this is part of their story as well, right? And in poverty, trying to make ends meet and trying to do that with rug making. Cheers, my dear Cheryl. Great to see you. Cheryl is on the Cape already. You lucky duck. We are headed out your way soon. Oh, you know what? It's because I clicked on the wrong one. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Nope, sorry. Oh, Jiminy Cricket, Mama. Okay, let's do this. There we go. So, as we're looking at this book, there are sections of it that are quite history driven with that Northern England emphasis, right? So we looked at the part about the kitchen range. We were talking about social gatherings, how everyone has a task, the kinds of frames they were using. We're going to come back to that. Just the very idea that in this region, rug making, hooky and proggy, was a very big deal. And it wasn't like it is now and here in the U.S. anyway, where some people you say, what do what do you do? I like rug hooking, raw cooking. No, not raw cooking, rug hooking. People don't even know what it is when they hear it, right? It wasn't like that at all. It was a very popular pastime, and it wasn't just a pastime, as I just showed, right? People were doing it for money and to try to make ends meet during really rough times. So this is part of the culture, and visiting with other people and working on your rug together or working on a larger rug together, and bringing the frames that looked more like needlepoint frames, balancing them on chairs and on the edges of tables. This was life. This was the evening, right? Just popping over your friend's house, popping across the alley or across the backyard to your friend's house and doing this routinely. So this is a oh my God. I'm sorry. This is a crazy Teddy, I'm doing a show. Jiminy Cricket. Okay. Sorry about that. I mean, he sounds like he needs an exorcism, and perhaps he does. So I'm out of order again. Let me just shoot forward to this. Somehow these went in reverse. I don't know what's going on. I got an update is all I can say. But let's play along. We're going to come back to the beginning part later. So in this section, the book is talking about. Sorry, hang on. It's rough that it's doing this to me because it sets me out of order, and I know what I meant to do, and we will do it all in the end, just in a different order. Hang on, everyone. I'm having a little bit of a struggle as I search for the next damn photo. All right, let's see. Sorry. I need a sidekick here. I need somebody to turn the pages for me. This is not easy. How many pages are in this book? Gosh, okay. Still not there. Talk amongst yourselves. This is insane. Okay. Well, okay, I'm just going to go with it. This is toward the end of the book, but it doesn't really make any difference. As you can tell, the conversation with this photo is going to be, did anybody do commercial patterns, right? And the answer is yes. So some people did do commercial patterns. If you were going to make a commercial pattern, the follow through thought is you had money to buy it. So most people did not have money to buy it. So did commercial patterns exist north, south, east, and west in the UK? Of course. But could everybody buy them? Obviously not, right? So most patterns were not commercial patterns, but they did exist. And if people could afford them, and if people felt that their own designing, right, just the laying out of shapes or stencils was not adequate or not something to be proud of, and they could afford a pattern, they would get a pattern. So it's interesting to know, and in this photo, it's telling the whole story. The main company that was supplying that part of the world in the late 40s, 1950s was Ready Cut. Now, this is a model. This model is called P. Leonard, modeling, P.I., modeling for the Ready Cut book of rugs. And this was one of the catalogs that offered different forms of rug making. I'm going to show you something after this slide that I think is really interesting. Some of the this I could not find online. This is not on eBay. I didn't think to look at ebay.uk because normally international stuff comes up regardless. But I guess it only comes up if they're willing to ship to the US. I wish I would have looked at UK because Ready Cut was a UK company. So when we find Ready Cut stuff in the US, it's after they merged with Shillcraft, and it was mostly latch stuff. So when we see Ready Cut, this is 1951. We're talking about rugs that are for the most part made with a needle. So for example, this is a Ready Cut. This is a Ready Cut catalog, very small, like kind of brochure. I have the front and back for you. I'm just opening up my phone because I want to tell you what year this is. What year is this? 1940. So this came before the 1951 that we were just looking at with the model. Let's just go back in time just a little bit, right? So this is 1940. That's, I think, the back cover, and I believe this is the front cover. Now, look at the difference here. The one we were just looking at was called the Ready Cut Book of Rugs. This is the Ready Cut Book of Simple Tapestry. They are still making rugs, as you can see in the picture, but the language hasn't changed from tapestry. Anything that this is going to be rug making that is done with a needle, but you can see that the backing is almost like a latch backing, right? It's an open gauge backing. Interesting, but they're still doing it with a needle. So this is the transition time, at least in the UK, 1940, when did hooky and proggy already exist? Yes. But with commercial patterns, they could look tidier, they could look finer, they could look more detailed if you used a needle at this point. At this point. Commercially, this is what they were selling, and this is what the inside of the 1940 catalog looks like. These are the kinds of projects that were popular then. All of this Jacobean style stuff was very popular, showing it as fire screen. And is it needlepoint? Sort of. It looks more like a rug to me. It has a companion rug that goes with it. I guess the fire screen looks more like needlepoint. The rug looks more shaggy, like much more high pile. This would have been done in yarn, and it would have been done with a needle. So they are calling, at least in the UK, rugs that are done with needle. See, we would be calling them in the US sewn rugs. We would not be calling them tapestries. In Paris, in France, they're calling them tapis, Tapis. In England, they're calling them tapestries, and in the US, we're calling them sewn rugs. Simple as that. And there are different kinds of sewn rugs for sure. But it's interesting that there is such a shift in language, because it does. Sometimes you pick up something like this book, right? And if it weren't such a heavy history book, I would forget while I was reading it that it's a UK book and not a US book, right? And the language is so different, even for basic things. So this book from 1940, this is on eBay, and it does come from the UK, so the shipping is a lot, unless you are in the UK, is showing us lots of rugs, lots of needlepoint designs for fire screens, for trays, for footstools. There's a lot of variety, but they're doing a lot with companion pieces. And they're also showing us, and this is also part of the same catalog, how to use an embroidery frame. This is exactly the pegged frame. Look at the sides, right? An embroidery frame sometimes turns, like one of the bars turns as you go. This one does too, I think. But otherwise, there is no movement, right? It is the size that it is, the shape that it is, and there is no movement. With the UK frames, we are looking at pegged frames. So you're able to change the size at least east to west. Top to bottom, you have to scroll to get to a different point in the embroidery. But I thought it was interesting that you would need to use a frame like this or build your own frame, whether you were doing a needlepoint footstool, fire screen, or a big, huge rug. You would still need to use a frame like this. It would just be a different size. So they're acknowledging that. And this is a close-up of, this was a rug. And this is just a close-up of what came with this particular rug. It's one of the Jacobean rugs. It says what number it is. Carriage paid, so that means shipping is included. It comes with comprising, so it is comprised of canvas with the design and color. So it's a printed canvas. It tells what size it is. This is still inches for them. And the wools for working, so the wool yarn for working. And there we have it, needles, thimble, and scissors, and the instruction leaflet. And probably the instruction leaflet shows you how to build your frame. Because you would be expected to be fairly handy, right? Now, this is a later Shillcraft. This is still Ready Cut Rugs, as you can see on the front cover, right? You see? But at this point, they have already merged with a company that is called Shillcraft. Shillcraft bought them, and this is a 1964 catalog. Now, what's different, right? We looked at a Readycraft catalog from 1940, 1951, and now 1964. What's different about this one? They have shifted again. They are not showing us tapestries that are done with a needle. They are now showing us still rugs, but that are done with a latch hook. And this is the big shift for this brand. Shieldcraft was already making pre-cut synthetic yarns to complete rugs like this with the colored printed background, so you know where to fill it in. But now we are looking at the latch hook tool, and this is a big product. This is big money, right? And this will carry on. This is 1964, but I mean, myself, a child of the 80s, right? I had these also in the 80s with the unicorns and the strawberry shortcake and Holly Hobby and all of those types of characters. They were all there, going, through 2+ decades, and now the Latch is making a bit of a comeback, having a little bit of a renaissance. But it's an interesting catalog because even if you look at the top, you see this is all about rugs. So it's talking about the ready cut rugs, which means that Shieldcraft now owns the ready cut designs, right? The designs didn't go away. Like this is a dogwood design. Shieldcraft now owns it. So just interesting evolution of the industry. You can see on top they're making rugs in all three, but they're making them in different ways. So I think that's interesting too. Picking up all of these old catalogs I think is a lot of fun because you get imagery like this, and it looks like this person is doing latch hook. She might be cutting as she goes. I think she might be latching or pulling up. She might be pulling something up with tweezers and cutting. It's hard to tell what she's doing. But most of these are cut pile. This is pre-cut, so she wouldn't have to cut it. A lot of the ones that were done with yarn were cut rugs. And that's another thing about British hooking that's a lot different than the American tradition, or the Canadian tradition, with the exception of a few of the missions that were always cut. And in the U.S., the Helen Albee, the Abenaki rugs were always cut. So some rugs were cut, but in general not. Looped rug is what we did more here. But you'll see from this book that some rugs are proddy, some rugs are hooky, but some rugs are hooked and then cut. So a cut pile has always been very desirable in the UK. Not necessarily preferred, but a viable alternative to a loop. So we see both. We see both techniques, prodding and hooking, with cut pile. So interesting. And then the catalogs going right through, yes, before it did look like Crewel, because Crewel pulls heavily from Jacobean decoration, always has. And then Pearl McGowan comes out of that tradition as well, with her huge line of Jacobean designs that she calls Crewel, because Crewel and Jacobean at a certain point become almost interchangeable words. And part of that is because of the needlepoint artist Erica Wilson. She was so heavy Jacobean style, and she called it Crewel. So there's major crossover of language, and this is sometimes why the craft is confusing, because of all these language shifts, and interesting, right? I find I love to be confused, and I love a puzzle to try to figure out what happened. And it usually is possible. Now, hang on a second. Let me go backward. No, this one is forward. So this, I don't know how these got so disordered, but sorry about that. It doesn't really matter. So that section was looking at the idea of, let me just stick with this for just a second, the idea of the commercial pattern, and its its limits, its uses, who it was practical for, who it wasn't. They show interesting things. I didn't do a photo of this, but like these tools here are homemade proddy tools. They look like, let's see if I can get that in focus, little screwdrivers, or they might just be metal, but to make them comfortable they're like padded with just fabric wrapped around them. Simple as that, because tools are expensive. This section here too, I think I showed this before, is showing tools that are like horns and bones and things like that. So, if you could, and there's some foreshadowing here too, you'll know what I mean in a few minutes. If you could figure out how to get a tool, whether it's a hook or a prod, and you don't have to pay a lot for it, you're going to do that, right? Particularly at this time and in this place. So this chapter, and I have a beautiful poem to read you too, is about the idea of people making their tools, not buying the commercial patterns, making their tools. In this section, I'm going to read directly from it. The need to finish the mat was placed above all considerations, and many women felt no compunction about lying. Dad was a hoarder. This is a quote. Dad was a hoarder. The cupboards were full of greyhound racing programs, secondhand wood, screws, nails, rope, etc., etc. And his side of the wardrobe was crammed with the clothing of many years, most of which never saw the light of day. His navy blue suits were standard wear, the very old one for work and the not quite so old one for going to the dogs, so that would be the track. On a warm summer evening, Dad emerged from the bedroom after much banging of doors and inquired of my mother, "Lizzie, I have a pair of light gray flannels somewhere, but I can't find them." Mother responded somewhat unconvincingly to the effect that it had been a long time since he had worn them. Perhaps he tried them on, found them to be too small, and thrown them out. That's a bit of gaslighting, isn't it? She would not have dared to suggest that he looked down and examined the new clippy mat where he was standing. So that was from something called Memory Book, and it's not referenced anywhere. There's no footnote. Memory Book. I don't know if that's like a publication or a magazine or what. Um, Interesting. There were stories of mats being stolen off clotheslines and walls, like hanging out of a window, and long johns too. Here's another quote from Mary Sanders. We lived at Seatonhurst, Ashington, and in the olden days they used to hang the washing out in the back lane. One day there was a man selling Old Moore's Almanac, and after he had been, my father's long johns were missing off the line. They would be wet, mind. The police were called, and they found the man beside the White Elephant pub, and they took him into the men's toilets and retrieved the long johns. Oh dear, right. Fun times. So I'm showing you this picture, a little bit of an atmosphere picture here too. This is Jesmond Vale in 1938. Of course, people did not necessarily have any grass in their yard. Why would they, right? These were like urban areas, right? They were suburbs of cities, but they were 100% urban. And there were public parks, I'm sure, and gardens, but they were few and far between. People who lived in houses in these kinds of communities did not have lawns. These were not what we would think of as like a family house now, right? Laundry was hung out in the street, right across the street. Not expecting cars to come through, right? 1937, definitely not expecting cars and anything motorized to come through. Denise says the picture of the latch hook rug I sent you about a year ago was from the early 70s. It was 100% wool yarn. You know, that's interesting, Denise. And it can always be that from this period, because in 1970, and I'm remembering back to the episodes that we did, and when I went to Maryland to visit with Melinda Bird, Byrd, of Bird Call Studio, I remember her telling us in that video that because she does rear rugs, so she does the sewn rugs, and it is always 100% wool, just typically a different quality than what latch had become. But in the early days, the latch kits were the same exact thing as Rhea kits. Different weight of yarn, different tool, right? Because latch was the toggle hook as opposed to the sewing needle. But yes, those early latch kits definitely were wool. They were copying the Scandinavian Rhea rug tradition. That idea didn't come out of nowhere. They were looking at Rhea rugs and thinking, how can we do this more easily and more quickly? And the latch hook kits began to be produced, and that's what put Melinda Bird's family literally out of business, because the latch hook kits were hugely competing. And then the next evolution of the latch hook kit was that it was done in synthetics, and then the price dropped to a fraction. And in the catalogs, the rugs kind of looked the same. And unless you were like, very discriminating person, you didn't care, right? You didn't care. Maybe you didn't even notice that the materials were different. And then the rear rugs could not bounce back. Like the company just went under, because the latch had such a death hold, like a choke hold, on the industry. Everything became latch. But at the beginning, they were interchangeable with Rio rugs because they wanted to be Rio rugs. So it's funny how that shifted. But yeah, that early, and I think Karen, I think on eBay in the past, you found some 100% wool Rio rug material that you latch hooked into linen backing. I think we have some photos of that in a past show too. So interesting. Dave, great to see you like a summer day. IPA and chips for a snack. That's very modest tonight, Dave. That's very modest. Um, we don't have a beer or something, do we?
No, but I can get you some, or if you want an alcohol-free one.
No, I don't want to drink one of yours. He's got the alcohol free ones. No, I'm fine. I'll just have my water. Denise says Shieldcraft had a special tool too. It was wood, and it was a cross between a hook and a punch. Ooh, I think I still have it. Oh, Denise, if you do, send a picture, or you can post it in the Facebook group. But send a picture because I would like to put it into the next gallery night for people who aren't on Facebook. That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. I would love to see that. So, interesting time and place, right? It's a time when, yeah, I mean, at any time in history, someone might steal something off the laundry line, right? That's something that could happen, shouldn't happen, but could happen. This is a 1970s era photo, and again, this is the Walls End Community Art Center, and this is captioned "Making a Proggy Mat." Now you can see that this person is working on a frame, has it stapled or secured around the edge. Maybe this is a finished piece, right? Maybe the finishing is that the burlap is stapled around the edge, and she is only doing the proggy to the area where like the front side is the frame and this is the back side in reverse. I'd love to see that too, Danielle. That's why it'll be great to get that on the video, right, on cocktail time. So just a reminder, this is evolution too that you're looking at. This is proggy, but it certainly looks like it is already framed and ready to go. So interesting, we're not seeing that same embroidery frame. This is a much larger piece. I'm guessing this is a very artistic piece, right? Different purposes. Proggy and hooky are being used in England at this time much more than in the US in public places, like commissions for community buildings. You see a lot of that. You see a lot of textiles in the 70s, a little bit in the US, but I think a lot more in the UK because fiber arts, for whatever reason, and I'm guessing it's the industry, it's the sheep industry and the mills, right? The mill culture. I'm guessing that's the reason that textile fiber arts in the UK historically have been so front and center. Whereas in the US, it's always been a sort of, for the most part, a woman's craft that's sort of relegated to women's spare time. But in the UK, again, I think because they had such a monopoly on mills at that time, and still do. That's where Dore Mill comes from, is the UK. That's where all of their wool comes from. As last I heard, anyway, it certainly isn't made here. Um, anyway, I think that's why there's always been a stronger and heavier emphasis on fiber art in the UK. More people doing it, readily available, and more available to people who have no money at all, right? Everyone is keeping sheep. It's there for you if you want it. Karen says, thinking about a new Rio rug design, but would love to use all the 100% wool cut pieces I found. Now, can you do that with the Rio rug? Now, would you be using the needle tool like with the Rio backing, or would you be doing it again the way you did it last time onto a rug hooking backing? Because I would love to see that too. And you had a lot of those pretty autumny colors like greens and burnt oranges and stuff. It was really, really pretty material, and that was a great haul when you got it. It was years ago, and I remember because I was jealous. Not jealous. I was excited, but we all get jealous, right? We see things and go, oh, oh, oh! I wish I had that too. It's just my bad nature. Um, but yeah, I would love to see that, Karen. If you get going on that, make sure you take pictures for gallery night as well. Now let me show you this for a minute. This is definitely out of order. This is making me really angry. Um, Before we come there, let's remember that was number 16. Guess what this is? Like, obviously, you know what this is, right? So, there's a section of this book that really focuses on the war years. and how horrific and difficult and uncertain and scary. And there are pictures of the kids who are, um, let me show you, who are coming from the city, coming from London. Has anybody seen the movie Hope and Glory? It's an older movie. I think it's a 80s movie. It's what it is. It's about the Second World War in England. It's a comedy. There are moments, right, that are not, but it's not a horrific movie. It's not a horrifically violent movie. It's a comedy, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. Honestly, no matter what kind of movie you like, it is so charming and fun and funny, and it is also unsettling, right, because it is a war movie. But there's a lot of scenes like this in the movie where in those boxes kids have their gas masks, and they're in this case either coming from a school and they're doing a drill or something like that. It's obviously not the real thing because it's not nighttime, and they wouldn't stop for a photo, right, if bombs were falling. But they could also be coming from a train station, because in all of the urban centers, like London and the northern cities that were very likely to be bombed, children were sent they were just sent, and they were picked up by volunteers who nobody knew on the other end. It was just trust with a little note, right? It's terribly sad. And they would spend the war away from their parents who might need to stay and work. Sometimes mothers came, but usually the whole family didn't come. If they could, they would, but they often didn't. And often it was just the kids, and life went on for the parents. And you can imagine the many ways that that might shake out. So in this chapter, I wanted to show you some other ones first. Hang on. Before I get to that, let's look at, now this is all out of order. We'll just go with it. So this is a home. Let me just find it. Post-bombing, right, obviously. And the roof has been essentially cratered in, right, by a bomb falling overnight. And you can see the trouble that the neighbors are taking. Probably, the air raid sirens would go off, and people would make their way to the designated shelters, but not everybody would go to the shelters every night. Yeah. My mom's saying Hope and Glory, one of our family favorites. It always has been because it's so, so good. The bomb crater severely damaged, I'll say, severely damaged a house at the Oval in St. Anthony's, and that's Newcastle. Um, so hopefully people would be at shelters, right, where they were supposed to go when they heard the siren. There are always volunteers looking out. It's blackout times, right? You have your blackout curtains. You do not light anything at night, right, without the blackout curtains. You do not light anything, because then from the sky, the enemy, I'll just say the enemy, can you get the dog out, please? Can the enemy? My brother-in-law is German, right? Nothing against German people, of course. This is a different time, thank goodness. Would be looking out for places where lots of lights were lit, because that would be like a town or a city center, and that's where they would be aiming. So you wouldn't want to show them anything, and it was serious business. You would get in big trouble if you had a light, or if you were being irresponsible. So people typically went to shelters, but sometimes people, if you watch Hope and Glory, you'll see sometimes people didn't feel like going to the shelter because it was every night. Like, it was every night. Sometimes it was multiple times in a night. And people were tired, and they just thought, for some people, I'd rather die, literally rather die than get out of bed again. But hopefully people get out of the houses before this happens, and then it's a community effort to go to the homes that are damaged. And as you can see here in this photo, pull out everything that can be pulled out. So crazy, right? Ruth, good to see you. And Karen says, I've bought my new backing for the new rear rug from Melinda, but I also have plenty of hooked rug backing to latch hook into as well. Latch hooking into rug hooking backing linen is quick and easy. When you do that, did I ask you this, Karen? When you do that, do you stretch it or put it in a hoop? No, I'm sorry, we're not having that one yet. These are so, I don't know how this happened. Just close your eyes for a second. I don't want you seeing these yet. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. This is ridiculous. Close your eyes, close your eyes. Don't do cheaty peaties. Don't do cheaty peaties. Okay. I'm going to come back to that one last. I want to finish this chapter. These all got topsy-turvied. And that's not easy for me, but we got this. Yeah, it's like they all got reversed somehow. I don't know how this happened. Okay, you know what? Let's come back. Sorry about that. I didn't even find what I was looking for. Big surprise, right? That's Diana Classic. Psst. Okay. let's just stay together here and see what the next one is meant to be. And okay, I'm going to hold on that. So the next one, we're going to have to go to 18 next. What I wanted to show you was, and I know I have this in there somewhere, but I'm not going to click anymore because I'm probably giving you whiplash. I'll show you this on the camera. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is this exact region that we're talking about tonight, Newcastle, right? That's where the other one was to 1939, right? So it's going to be 6 years before the war is over. Family inspects a newly installed Anderson shelter. Steel walls were sunk 3 feet into the ground and covered with excavated earth. Although subject to flooding, the Anderson would protect against all but a direct hit. Direct hit, and this is not going to help you. But let me show you what this looks like. And the reason I'm emphasizing this part of the story is because it's a big part of the story. A huge part of the story. So you would dig up the earth, right? You would have this thing built or installed, and then sprinkle the earth around it. So from above, it didn't look like a dwelling, right? No, it's not a target. So it's Hope and Glory, a Mike Leigh film. I don't know. When I first started watching it, I was quite young, like very young. So I don't know that I ever clocked that. It's a British film. I'm never going to think of any of the actresses' names in it, although I know who all of them are from other shows. But there should only be one called Hope and Glory from the 80s, and it is a war movie about the war from a little boy's point of view. So this is, I'm going to come back to this, and I'm going to say, look at that. We're talking about ways that you can make a Prodi tool. Look at this Prodi tool, and guess what that's made out of? Right? Think about what we've just been talking about, and guess what that Prodi tool is made out of. I'm going to hold for a second because I know that you're going to guess it. I'm going to show you close up. Yes, Sharon, it's a bullet. So, I mean, this fits in with the conversation. That's exactly what it is. It's just embedded into a handle, like somebody turned a handle or took the handle off something else like a screwdriver and embedded that. And I hate to say it, but it makes a great Prodi tool. I mean, it's perfect for that. So you roll with the changes, right? When it's difficult times, you roll with the changes. Well done on that. That was very well done. Now, this is another picture, and I'm sorry for the disjointed nature, but this is another picture. You know, we were talking about this guild that had been there. I don't know if they're there anymore. The Wallsend Hookean Proggy, not Prodi, but Proggy Circle. And this is where they met, at Uncle Ernie's Community Arts Center. So this photo was taken in 1977. This section of the book is called Old Tales, New Beginnings. I'll read you a little bit of it, and I want to show you this tool as well. That's another homemade, this is a hook in this case, not a Prodi tool. Well, it might be a Prodi tool, or it might be a very fine hook. Looks like a Prodi tool. It's made out of a utensil. Like, it's got a big shaft, so it might be some kind of serving utensil, like a fork or something. It's not a regular fork or spoon, right, because there's too much metal. But it's made out of something, some kind of utensil. And those are possible. Those are possible to find, too. In fact, I have a few of those. It's fun to find ones in this country as well that were made out of silverware. So, Old Tales, New Beginnings, the Wallsend Hookean Proggy Circle. One day in 1977, while working as a community artist in Wallsend, I attended the local leek show, that's L-E-E-K, and saw a number of Proggy mats there. I'd never encountered them before. I got talking, and this is 1977, right? So this is much later. I got talking to a lovely elderly gentleman who had won the prize for his mat. He invited me back to his house for tea and to show me his wife's mats. She had won the prize every year until this one, and had only recently died. Oh, okay, I see. That's why she wasn't in it. While we chatted, he opened a drawer to reveal the worn-down horn proggers that represented all the mats that they had made side by side over the decades. Inspired, I went away and advertised for folk to join a mat-making circle. The Wallsend Hooky and Proggy Circle was born in Wallsend Art Center in Charlotte Street, and met and made together over the next 5 years. So that's Ali Rind, who's speaking there, Rhind. And she is a huge contributor to this book. Although she's not noted as the author, she has contributed a massive amount of photography and text to this book. So that's the genesis of this. I'm guessing that maybe that's the man, right, who he's talking about having met. And you see at his feet the other guy, who's just learning about it in the 70s and wanting to have this club start meeting, right? It's getting to know some of the old timers and hear their stories. And there are some mats down there at his feet. And a new chapter, right? Old tales, new beginnings. A new chapter opens up. This little society, this club is formed. And within the club, I'm going to stick with this and then we'll go backward again later. Lots of tremendous art emerges. In fact, this is one of the most spectacular images in this book, without a doubt. Let me find it. It does look like a commercial pattern. It might not be, but I think it is. And sorry, I want to attribute it. There it is. Okay, so Ali Rind told the tale of the stag and the whippet. Okay, do you see a whippet? I don't see a whippet. Maybe the whippet is a different one. Okay, I see there's a second rug with a whippet. The stag and the whippet from Wallsend Hooky and Proggy Circle. And this is Ali speaking. Two members of the circle, Peggy and Ivy, wanted to make a mat based on a painting of a stag. Okay, a stag at bay. So I drew them the design. It is an original design. Holy mackerel, the stag was lovingly made and duly finished. But by then Ivy was in the hospital. So, to cheer her up, Peggy and I decided to take the mat to show Ivy. I carefully rolled it up and rested it on the top of the car while I settled Peggy into the seat, and off we went. On arrival at the hospital, no mat. I had left it on the top of the car. How many times have you done that? I know I've done that tons. No mat. And of course it had rolled off during the journey. I was devastated. What to do? My flatmate had the idea of phoning local DJ James Whale on his late night radio show, to ask for help and to request whether anyone had found the mat, to phone him. Later, I got a phone call. I've got your mat. If you want it back, come to the Black Horse Pub at Windy Nook and we'll do a deal. So off I went to Windy Nook, and a deal I made to make the Rising Sun Whippet Club a mat in exchange for the Stag at Bay mat. Yes. Okay, so this is what happened. What a charming story. So this is the rug that fell off the car. And so somebody had it at the pub, right? And the pub was like the Greyhound or something like that, right? And sorry, you know what? Let's stay there for a second. And so they made a deal, and I'm sure it was a very good-natured deal, right? They weren't holding the rug hostage, but to do a rug for the pub. And that's the whippet underneath for the pub. So isn't that a funny story? All these great stories that come out of these small groups, right? So this is an exceptional piece. So it seems like more than one person was working on that piece. This is another exceptional piece. Peggy Weber made a special portrait mat to celebrate her golden wedding anniversary. And so here's Peggy, and there's her husband. So 50 years, right? You can see that on the mat. Walter is shown in his blue boiler suit. When Peggy was fed up with him, she would stamp her foot on Walter and feel much better. The Wallsend Hooky and Proggy Circle grew very popular, and several other circles started up all over North Tyneside. So one thing leads to another. I just want to show you a close-up of the anniversary mat, because it's the other photo, it was a bit far away, and you can't tell how good it is. Like, it's this good. Like, and look at how wide the cut is. It looks like it's all cut with scissors, and they are showing scissor cutting in all of this, like all of it. Judy says, oh, that is too sweet. I remember when we had local DJs who would do all kinds of community connections. It is so sweet. I love that story as well. And you know when I said about the Leaks Club, or no, not the Leaks Club. Wait a minute. Let me go back. Hang on. That was the photo with the two men in it, right? Hold on, wait a minute. There it is. Okay, so when I was reading this, I said, okay, I attended the local Leak show. So it actually was a leek show, but there just happened to be rugs there as well. So this is a rug that Allie did years later, I think, to celebrate the leek show, right? So it's like an homage to actually leeks, which I thought was funny. It says a hooky mat inspired by the leek and pigeons. Okay, the club was actually called, oh my God, the Leek and Pigeon Club. So there you have it. You can't make this stuff up. This is a full blast Miss Marple only in England conversation. The Leek and Pigeon Club, right? Who belongs to that? Probably everybody belongs to that. I mean, just saying. So interesting though, isn't it? It's impossibly charming. So let's look at what else we've got here. Even though we're not quite in the right order, who cares? So this is what I'm talking about with their cut mats. This is a Prati mat for sure, but you can see that, and I would guess that this. I don't know if it's pulled or pushed Prati, but I would guess that it's pulled up Prati. It's narrow strips, almost like hooking. And this is done by Rachel Fillmore, who worked with the Bellingham Carers Group to make this sheep. So this is a group project. This is not a one-person project. And you can see that once the progging was done, the surface must have been cut because the pile is absolutely exquisite. And let me see. This is a photo of the book, as you know. Let me see if I can make it just a little bit bigger because it's just exceptional looking at this surface. It's so tactile, isn't it? All the little bits that kind of made their way to weird places. I'm going to say I think I'm wrong, and I think it was prodded from behind. And you know why? Because you see the sort of errant white single parts that are on the feet. I think they got kind of pushed through because they were working on the back and didn't realize they were actually on the black part. If you were pulling them up from the front, unless that's intentional, you would see that happening, and you might just move the needle nose over and pull up next to it. But it looks like it's right. I might be wrong. It looks like it's right on the feet, which would make me think they were working from behind. Not confirmation, and it doesn't even matter, but it is a beautiful piece, exceptional piece. And let me see what we've got next here. Oh, this is another newer piece. Let me see. This is called an instance. That's the name of the piece, an instance. This is a Proggy wall hanging, also by Rachel Phillimore. I can show you a picture of her too. There's a picture in here. So this is a real abstract art piece. And this is where Proggy crosses over and hooking with gallery art, right? It is that kind of a piece. I don't have this next image in this show, so let me show you here. And this is, this is a huge Proggy mat in the background, and I'll tell you what it's for, a public building. I'll tell you what the piece is called in a minute. But this is Allie, and this is, oh God, I just lost her name. I just said her name twice. Rachel, right? So standing there, and this giant group project in the background is called Sustenance, and it was commissioned by the Community Foundation for the Newcastle City Library. There we are. So things of that scale, pieces of that scale, in modern times still being made for public spaces, and hopefully in other countries as well. Let's keep going. I feel a coughing attack coming on. Let's keep going. I feel like, okay, there we go. There we go. We're okay. Now, this is where I wanted to start. So I'm going to go back a little bit because when we talk, oops, wait a minute. I got the book in the wrong order now. When we talk about hooky and Prati, we are talking about two distinctly different forms. However, there are rare occurrences when both hooky and Prati are done in the same piece. And this is one of those very rare occurrences. This is a hooked mat, right? It's an original design that would have been drawn out. Circle would have probably been a traced platter. It looks a little bit tipped to one side, so I'm guessing it is a traced platter. Beautiful piece. But it has a prodded border, and that is unusual, right? It is quite unusual to have both. So you can make your own assumptions as to whether the spring tool was used or the prodding tool was used. And again, it doesn't matter. But it is curious and interesting to see this representing both crafts. And this was made by Miss Ava Milner at Priory Farm in Castletide sometime in the 1940s. Beautiful piece. And beautiful directional hooking in the background as well, isn't it? Um, and this is in the Beamish Museum. So if you like this conversation, remember a couple of years ago, I found that book from the Beamish Museum, also Northern England, also mining communities. And not many of the images are in both books. So if you feel like, well, I don't need both books, they're distinctly different books with very different images. And I don't recognize this one, but it's from the Beamish Museum, which is loaded with hooked rugs. So it might be in the other book as well. I don't recognize it, but it's not impossible. In any case, if you like this conversation, you will love the other. So search ribbon candy hooking for Beamish, right, in the title, and it'll pull up the past episode or episodes where I was talking about very similar subject, right? Totally different book. Now, I wanted to show you this photo because this is a great example of how you would make it work. She's prodding in this case because you can see the high pile on the underside, how you would make it work with the pegged frames that they used. You could adjust the pegs, right, depending on what you're balancing the thing on as well, right? So you can see that the distance between the north and south of the frame, right, the stretchers, you can see how that pegboard, which is like the ruler in between, that you can adjust with actual pegs that come out, right? You have to keep the pegs face up because they will fall out. She has got it over the arm of the couch on one side, right? Because it's like a chaise where it goes up on one side but not the other, and resting on a table on the other side. So she figured out just where she needed to sit for the right height. Can you imagine as a hooker how much, you know how when you sit sideways like this, the side of your back like twists, and it is excruciating. You just do it for a few minutes and it's excruciating. This must have been what was happening for her because she's sitting at an angle, and I can feel that pain. But this is the way you did it, right? You did it however you could do it. Choices were not infinite. If you wanted to hook outside, this is a town called Otterburn in the 1890s, right? So this is an even earlier era. This is like 50 years earlier than what we're talking about in general in this book. And this is also in the Beamish Museum. So this is women working on a piece. Looks like they're hooking a piece in this case. And they have got it resting on some kind of little table, little side table or something, and the edge of the porch. So you did what you had to do. Can you imagine how exciting it would be to find something that was kind of level? I mean, with not that much furniture to choose from, it must have been really exciting. And it must have been very nice to be able to sit outside and to work companionably like this. Most of the rugs that we see in this book are rugs that more than one person did, either the whole family together or like a whole community, like a quilting bee. This is a nice family photo. It doesn't say who it is. It's unknown, but a family group were proud enough to stand on a homemade mat for this posed photo around 1920. So this is coming out of World War One, right? And not knowing they had another one to look forward to, not very far in the distance, but here they are, probably at some kind of itinerant photographer, because you can see they've got the back painting, right? The theatrical backdrop. Maybe you can't see. Let me move the image on a brick wall. It's secured to, oh, you can't see it in there, but it's right against a brick wall, so it's definitely an exterior. And in the front, they either brought a homemade mat or that was a prop. And even though the mats can be seen as a scene of poverty, because everyone was in the same situation, in this community, it wasn't as much of a mark of poverty as it would be, for example, in the U.S. in the early 20th century, where some people are poor, some people are very wealthy. There is a massive sort of incongruity between classes. In this part of England at this time, everybody was in the same boat. So being able to stand on something pretty, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, get that thing away. People are going to think we're making our own rugs. Nobody would have said that in this place at this time. And you can see it's probably a homemade design. It is what we would call either broken glass, mosaic, or stained glass. I think they have a different name for it. I think I have that later on. but absolutely beautiful. Judy said, so there's no turning mechanism for the north and south. You would just slip the pegs. Let me see. Slip the pegs and slide the pieces out. Advance the rug. Let's look at it and see if we can figure out the mechanics of it, because people still use these. In fact, the current books that are coming out of the UK, the like as of 10 years ago, this is still the exact same frame with pegs that they're showing you how to build. So people are still absolutely using these. Yeah, I think what you do, yeah, you're right. It's not turning at all. I think you're absolutely right. You have to take the peg out, both pegs out, pull the ruler thing out, right, the pegboard, and slide the rug off and wrap it back around. Yeah, that must be what you have to do. Wrap it back around. That's a pain in the butt. But you know what? Also sitting at a Chetty Camp style frame, or I have a lap frame that's quite a wide frame too. It's something like this but with legs. It is always a pain when I have to adjust it on the frame. This is more of a pain for sure, and it's a heavy rug. But I can't see any other way, because you're right. It's not a circle. It's not going to turn. It might be that you could manipulate it. It doesn't look like it's on there very tight, does it? It's probably that you could maybe just turn it in your hands. They probably have it sewn onto a piece of fabric, or I would think more likely nailed, like nails into it. Um, I would think that would be the fastest way of dealing with it. So I would guess that's what they're doing. More later frames, later in the 20th century, needlepoint frames always have the piece top and bottom of the twill tape, right? Like that cotton tape. And you just pin onto that or sew onto that and then pull it out, right? Like whips, baste or something and pull it out. But here, I don't know that they would have taken the time for that kind of fineness. So I think you're right. I think they're either taking it off or they're like manhandling it and winding it up on there. Yeah, interesting. This is an atmospheric photo, and it looks very dark. Let me find this in the book. It is very dark. This is 1892. This is a family gathered around a mat making frame, photographed in the Derwentside area during the 1892 miners' strike. So what information are we getting in this photo? Well, there's light coming in through the window, right? Everything in this house, you see the fireplace is not lit. So, and if it were cold, certainly it would have been lit, right? Unless there's a problem with coal. I'm not making a joke here. It's like, it's hard to know the details. But during the strike, I don't know. In any case, I wouldn't say people are looking particularly happy. But then again, it's hard to say in these early photographs because you had to be still for very long. For all we know, there are other people in the room, but they weren't still long enough. Maybe they came and went while the photograph was being taken. For all we know, there's 5 more people in the room. I know that's a weird thought, but it can happen. If they came and went too quickly, there would be no sort of mark of them in the photo at all. The only thing that would remain in the photo is something that stayed still for like a good minute. But what this does tell me is that the only 2 women in the room are working on it. And although we know that men both designed and enjoyed working on rugs, these men are not participating. So maybe they participate in the cutting. Maybe it's just companionable sitting together. It doesn't necessarily look like anything's wrong other than there's a miners' strike, right? And that must be super stressful. But just gives you a sense of place, right? Because in 1892, it was bad, right? There was a strike. It was bad. Poverty-wise, quality of life, it was bad. And then it got a little bit better, but then it was World War I. And so that was bad. I mean, not just the war element, but like the men going off to war and not coming home element, and shift in jobs, lack of bodies to do the jobs, all of it. Lack of ability to run mills and factories because those places needed to be used to make and manufacture things for the war effort. So everybody displaced, and then everybody coming back, in the 1930s, late 30s, early 40s, and then we are pretty quickly into World War II. So you can see how a part of the world like this, where your happiness and your quality of life, your income, all the things that you would like to control, We're not easily controlled because of circumstances. So these are hardworking people who just keep getting cut down at the knees, like every few years, just cut down at the knees. Having said that, lots of happy times, not just rug making times, but in this photo, which I think is such a curious photo, 1934, having a Christmas on a giant Prati rug, which had to be a group project. So this is November of 1934, a family group around the Christmas tree. And yes, the children, everybody is sitting on this huge Prati rug. So it might be a community space, right? It's not necessarily, it doesn't look like someone's home. It looks like a community space. It's big. But is it strange to you too? Tell me if this is striking to you. It's like the mom who seems to be playing the Santa in this case. It's a woman in any case. There seems to be another very likely candidate right here in the photo to play Santa Claus. Why in the world was there like a young female brunette playing Santa Claus? I don't understand. Gosh, Melanie says, if you take the side pieces off, you can manually turn the bars. Like old quilt frames. My grandmother had one like that, that was on pulleys that could be raised to the ceiling. Oh my God, that's a great idea. So it's suspended. That's a great idea. Then your height thing isn't an issue. Okay, so let me picture this, because if that's the case, I'm just trying to visualize it. I know you're right. I'm just trying to visualize it. And I'm thinking, hang on. So I'm thinking that since that's the case, let me draw the frame out. My brain's got to figure this out. Let me draw the frame out here. So it's like, this is cut off. This is the side. The side was like this. It was an odd shape, remember? And the hole is in it here. And these pieces are flat. They're not round. So it's like this, and then the pegboard goes through here and is movable and adjustable. So if that's and then these are shaped, but they're not round, right? They're like beveled, but they're not round. If that's the case, then it would have to be mathematically that if you took these off, that you would have to turn it a full revolution, at least a full revolution, because otherwise it would never, because the inside of this, right, the side view would be like this, like a dragon almost, right? At least this particular frame in the picture was like this, and the peg came in like this, right? You see what I mean? So since that's the case, it would have to be, and it probably didn't matter with large mats, that if you were turning it like that, you would have to turn it in, the measurement would only be full revolutions, right? Because you couldn't get it halfway, or this wouldn't be facing in the right direction to receive the pegboard. That had to be the way it worked. There's no other way. That's really interesting though. But of course, a revolution would probably be with a frame that size. I got to look at it again. You got me going. Hold on. I gotta check this out now. A frame this size. Let's make a guesstimate as to. Was it? Wait a minute. My screen is going crazy tonight. It's making me really unhappy. Nope. One more back. No, sorry, this one. Okay, let's make a guesstimate. I would say that the circumference of that, they look like a different size from one to the next. They look super homemade, don't they? I would say the circumference has got to be like, I don't know, 12 inches or something, wouldn't you say? Going all the way around, because that's a big chunk of wood, isn't it? So that would mean every time you turned it, although maybe you could turn it halfway if the hole for the peg was bored into both sides, you could. But it can't be, because then wouldn't the peg fall right through the center and onto the floor? Wouldn't it be that the peg could only, right, one revolution? Okay, thank you, Melanie. Okay, yeah, because I'm figuring it out in my head. It is a curious and ingenious frame, and although this is not the most sophisticated kind of equipment we have, I have to say, in my mind, looking at someone using a frame like this, it's very romantic in my mind. And I love the idea that we had the other day during the show of putting one of these frames between two ladder back chairs, just like the picture that I drew the other day, right? I love the idea of doing that. It just somehow is like really back to the roots because if you could get the height great and you were comfortable the way you were sitting, that could be a great setup. And if you had the flexibility, right, the pegboard and the ladder and the chair, it could be a great system in this day and age, depending on how you like to hook, right? Because I don't see something comb working like this unless you build your own comb frame. Although Amy Oxford does have a few comb frames that are rectangular, they're not this rectangular. They're more like golden rectangle. You know what I mean? I love that system too. It's so charming, isn't it? Oh, there's just something about it. Okay, well, good. We talked that to death. I'm sorry about that. You know what an animal I can be when I'm trying to figure something out. I got to start drawing it. All right, let's come back up here. Da 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 da. To the straight. No, come on. This was funny, wasn't it? Did you have a little laugh here when you saw Santa, the real Santa, sitting in the front? Absolutely crazy. Crazy decision making. Now, I like this part of the book because, and by the way, there are lots of pictures. I'm not including everything because I just can't, but there's lots of beautiful pictures like this. The women in this picture, I think all of them are doing either pom-pom rugs or sewn rugs. So no hooky and pratty happening here, but just really beautiful photos of women working together. And just daily life, right? There's even a recipe for Peggy's toffee, right? We've seen Peggy a few times in here. And a lot of, a lot of pictures like this that just give you a feel for the place. This is a Victorian era period again, right? So it's going to be 1890s, 1900. So there is, even in hard times, there is love, right? And there is fun. And someone working, sitting in the doorway sewing, right? Someone working on something and somebody being very idle and watching, but maybe learning at the same time. Just very, very different times. Let me see, what we were looking, yes, the stencils. So there's a section that's called Patterns and Pictures, and of course we've had this conversation lots where we talk about, now this is interesting, I got to show you one of these. I had one, I showed these in my first book, Easy Beautiful Rag Rugs, but I'm going to have to show you in a second here too. If you were making something for scratch and you were not a creative person or you did, no, honestly, and this is going to sound awful, nobody wanted you to be an artiste at this period in time. These are utilitarian rugs. The point is to get them done, right? And to make them usable sooner rather than later. Either you're using them in your cold house or your dirty house, right? With like dirt on the floor or for the floor, or you're selling them. But regardless, you are not laboring over them and reconsidering the sky, or whether you'd like to do directional hooking in the sky and considering how many colors you're going to put in each rose petal. It was not those days. You just wanted to get a pattern down, get going, finish it, and on to the next. So something like this is an interesting photo because one of the easiest and quickest ways to create a new pattern is to use stencils. So making stencils out of paper, out of metal, out of leather, out of whatever you had, so that you could use them again and again, and then fooling around with plates and things like that so that you could get the design on the backing. No time designated to getting it on the backing, just quick. Now, if you were wanting to make a rug with a cut pile, as opposed to, if you wanted to hook or prog a rug with a cut pile, right, you would need pre-cut pieces of yarn before latch hook was a business, right? So there was a tool for that. There was a tool for that specific thing. If you wanted a cut pile rug that was all yarn, there was a tool for that. It was a ruler, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. But let me describe it first. It was a little wooden ruler, and on the top of it, it had a line, a recess beveled in, like cut out of it, and you would wrap your yarn around it however many times you want, right? Because one full wrap is like one cut piece. You would wrap, and then you would run your scissors along the top by putting the one half of the scissors into the groove and cut as you went, and it would make pre-cut pieces that were perfectly measured. And lots of places made these rug rulers, right, for cutting. And these are two examples. This is an interesting thing to collect. I have a few of these. These are mostly found in the UK. Very hard to find these in the US. Turkey rug wool. So that's an advertisement for that brand of wool, and beehive rug wool. So these are both advertisements, but you also see you see the groove on the beehive one, you see the groove under it, right? That your scissors would fit in. You sometimes see these just anything like, milk, whatever, being advertised. So it's not just wool companies. It was just how yardsticks, you see different advertising on yardsticks. Same thing with these. This is how big rug making was in this place in this time. Got to read you. No, I won't read you that one. There's a bunch of poems in here. That one is in like dialect, so I won't do that because I'll trip over it. But there's another one I want to read you at the end. I don't want to forget. So let's come back here. My computer's playing with us again. There you go, you jerk. All right, and so stencil pieces, and here's an example of using a plate, right? It's a square plate. This is exactly what Pearl McGowan describes in her book, The Dreams Beneath the Designs. She talks about using saucers and postcards and things like that to complete the design. It's exactly what's going on here. Let me show you one more. This is a commercial pattern, and this is pre-printed by Barlow's. So Barlow's was probably a local department store or big store. The grooved ruler is made for Rhea rug making, also for Rhea rug making. But yes, definitely for Rhea rug making. This, I think, predates Rhea rug making. Some of these advertising rulers, at least the one that I put into my book, is a really old one. But yeah, you could, same thing. You could, if you're doing a Rhea rug, anytime you need cut pieces, a grooved ruler, I was going to say, is a good thing to have. It's actually not necessarily. To be honest, this is what I do if I want pre-cut pieces. You can totally use a grooved ruler if you want to, but you can just as easily cut a piece of cardboard into a strip like this, like whatever size you want. Obviously, if you cut it like this, then your pieces are going to be very short, because also the knot, right, where it's attached to your backing. If you do it longer, it's a higher pile. So you have to experiment before you create a tool. But like when I've done latch hook rugs, like the rugs in that book, I did it with a piece of cardboard, and I just wrapped it. And then if it's a piece of cardboard, it's kind of like flexible. You can squeeze the edge of the scissors in there, no matter how tight it is, and just as easily. But it is very cool to have the grooved ruler. It's very, very cool. I found in trying to use a grooved ruler, I just found that the tip of the scissors kept slipping out of the groove and stuff. I just found it a bit more difficult. It's like, I lived in Amsterdam. It's like getting your bike, the front tire of your bike stuck in a tram track, right? Like you're totally stuck in it, and it's hard to come back out. But it is a very cool tool. And yes, totally also for Rhea rug making, without a doubt. Did those say for Rhea rug making, or those are just for rug making? Yeah, those are just for rug making. But yes, absolutely, they're for Rhea rug making as well. The funny thing about that, Karen, I don't remember ever seeing that particular tool as a Scandinavian tool. And I wonder if they exist, or if they didn't bother with grooved cutting tools. But Rhea rug making, no, latch hook making, but not Rhea rug making, because Rhea rug making, traditional Rhea rug, you'd never cut your piece. You sew it, and then you cut it after. Oh, I see what you mean. That's the piece you can slip between the loops to cut. Yeah, you could totally do it. I'm sorry, because Rhea rug, just saying, if you don't know Rhea rugs, is not pre-cut. But what you do with Rhea rugs, and there's a video on this too, that Melinda Bird video, you put your stitches in, and as you put it in, and I didn't do this in the video, and Melinda doesn't do this, but if you're old school, you can use a ruler for exact height, and you kind of come around the ruler with every stitch you pull up, put another stitch in, come around the ruler, put another stitch in, and then you cut at the ruler, so your height is perfect. I think I did a shortcut in the video, because Melinda also wasn't using a ruler to cut, but you can if you want it to be perfect. Technically, you can be perfect that way. You can make and knot each stitch around the ruler, but I prefer the less precise without the ruler. Yeah, But it's good to know that both is possible, because with Ria rugs, and Karen knows better than I do because I've just fooled around with it making that video. With Ria rugs, if you're using Ria backing, it's like stacked, and there's only certain rows at intervals that you can stitch into. That's the point. That's why it's a specific backing. And if you cut it too short, it's like you cut your bangs too short. Like it's bad. Like you'll have to replace the yarn in those places because there'll be a bare spot, like a bald spot. So I guess the practice of using a ruler, a groove ruler, is not a bad idea, particularly if you're doing it and you're new. Even though I was doing it for the first time, I'm the person who opens something and throws the directions away immediately and then starts like complaining that I don't know how to set the thing up. It's a disease. But yeah, make good decisions, right? So so I wanted to show you this really fast. This is a pattern. Um, this is really interesting because I wonder if it came like this. This is a commercial pattern, and it already has holes in it. And I'm wondering if it has holes because someone started it and pulled it out. It certainly doesn't look like that. Or if some kind of perforation machine punched the holes in it. If that's the case, what does that mean for this piece? Right? You see what I mean? It's like perforated on the design. Does that mean that that's a head start to do your proddy? It probably does, doesn't it? You could also hook through it. But that's really interesting because follow through thought, what do you do for the rest of it? You know? Interesting, isn't it? I can't imagine that that's pulled out because they're all perfectly even. It looks like it was, you know what it is? It's ink. It looks like holes because it's inked through holes. Okay, so this is really odd. This is something we don't see. I have not seen this yet. So the way that they got this pattern on there is obviously through something that looks like some kind of a window screen or something, or some kind of a rolling thing, but it's inked little squares. It's not holes. It's inked. Like when you do the sewing and you've got the star tool that makes the points as you go, it's probably, I don't know how they're doing this, but they're inking as they go with some kind of a tool. That makes way more sense, doesn't it? Melanie says, Judy, look at tambour frames for a go by, or look at old quilt frames. There is a freestanding frame that has notches. Ooh, the rails fit into. Ooh. See, this is so interesting. I'm ready for another frame. I mean, I've got so many, and I'm not in love with any of them. They're all fine and they sort of work, but yeah, I'm really looking for the frame that feels like the heirloom frame of my life. You know what I mean? Interesting. I'm going to look at the tambour frames too. That's interesting. So patterns and such. Now, they do come to the conversation of using cookie cutters and things like that. We saw using the plates. Now, this reminds me a lot of our conversation a couple weeks ago on Winifred Nicholson. Remember that? And her sheep and silhouettes, right, that she designed with hit or miss backgrounds. The caption for this says, this was a very bullish bull from Cumbria, and it was designed by the Barkers of Lanercost. I don't know who the Barkers of Lanercost are. There is a lot of text in this book, and it's not jumping out at me, but obviously they printed this pattern. So silhouette, I mean, it seems like it's a basic pattern, but it's really not. It's quite a distinctive silhouette, and even with the little face in it, right? And just it being so close to the border. A big part of this is the dark material. You can see how there are different darks used to complete this piece. But this would be considered a commercial pattern because somebody made it. It was not made at home and immediately covered up, right? And this is a newer piece that I thought was really interesting to look at. Hold on. Okay, so the shipbuilding tradition in Wallsend was illustrated by the Wallsend Hooky and Proggy Circle. So remember the club that was set up right after the Leeks and Pigeons Club. This club met for, it said 5 years, and this is one of the rugs that somebody was working on. It doesn't say who, but shipbuilding, right? Wallsend is like a waterside community, so shipbuilding is part of it. And this is also the reason why some of these communities near water are the ones who get bombed the most, right? Because planes are coming from the water and right along the coast and bombing those places the most. If they are flying for a long time over land, the chance of them getting shot down is more. But if they're just coming from the water, boom, oh, there it is right there. There's no chance to react, right? You don't get a lot of lead in time to say, everybody go into your shelters, or put the air raid siren on. When when planes are coming out of the mist of the over the water, you don't get that, right? And so a lot of the communities in these port towns and oceanside towns and villages, that they're getting bombed out of their minds. They're getting like blasted and obliterated, which is a sad part of the story. So this is obviously a much later piece. This looks like it must be a 1970s piece, because that picture looks like this started in 77 and it went for 5 years. So late 70s, early 80s. But it is interesting. Number one, the peg frame, and this one we can see like real well. The homemade kind of eyelet in there too, right? With the and this one does have fabric nailed on. Can you see that? Strips of fabric nailed on, and probably the backing piece is sewn onto that, I would guess. And somebody's doing something that reflects that immediate area, like shipbuilding community, bridges, mechanical machines, right, that are used to make bridges, metal stuff, right, for lack of a better word, metal stuff. So this is a really avant-garde piece. And think about it. This little group starts meeting all of the sudden in 1977 in the place where they have the Leeks and Pigeon Club, and they're doing work like this. I mean, that's really remarkable. Again, it doesn't say whose piece this is. Maybe it does in the book, but it's not attributed near the thing. Okay, wait a minute. Now, hold on. I'm going to come back to you here because I know I have more photos. Something's wrong there, but we're just going to keep going. Let's see what else I can share with you. We are getting on. Again, I don't want to torment you, but this book is amazing. I mean, every page, it's showing old photos from, this part of England. It's showing people doing very close-up work. The Beamish book is great too, right, from the Beamish Museum. That one is easier to get a hold of. Shipping is going to be a lot from the UK, but you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it. Sometimes you spend a lot on something stupid that you don't even mean, right? It's like an accident. Hey, if you have to pay for shipping on something like this, that's such a treasure, the Beamish book. Now this one, I'm going to say check ebay.uk, not ebay.com, because you never know. Maybe you could write to the person and say, would you be willing to send it abroad? And they probably will say no because of tariffs and uncertainty and everything else. But you never know. Never try, never win, right? Kirsten, great to see you. Welcome back. I can't wait to hear about your day. But it is a wonderful book because you just feel like, you know these people. You feel like it's just, there's so much joy in these photographs of women and men working together, families working together, making stuff. There's also so much pain and the poverty and the circumstances of their lives. This is the stuff, right, that Judy and Karen were talking about. This is a brand that I don't know. This is probably a UK brand, Blue Fez, and this is 100% pre-cut wool. So this would be used for rugs a little bit later. This is no good for sewn rugs. This is good for hooked rugs or latch hooked rugs. So or prodded rugs, right? But this is a product I'm not familiar with at all until it becomes a component to a latch hook kit a little bit later. This looks 1930s to me. At least the marketing does. And one of these tools, which we would call a shuttle punch, right? Or some people call it a shuttle hook. Early packaging refers to it as a hook, but you can see it's more like a punch than a hook. It works in reverse. So this is one of the British brands. That's one of the neat things about this book, is that we're seeing a lot of examples of British brands instead of, we see a lot of the American and Canadian stuff. But yeah, it's nice to see some of the other things that are out there because it certainly can send you down a rabbit hole. Oh, see, we missed that. We're going to have to go back to that, the Last Supper. It's fun to go down rabbit holes looking at other supplies. If it's even just to clock it in your head or get inspiration, if you don't know it exists, you don't know to look for it. Let me see if I can find the Last Supper. I feel like, yeah. God, how do I remember that? this is an exceptionally good piece as well. So because most of the pieces we're looking at in this book are geometric pieces and pieces that were done fast. We're only looking at a handful of pieces that are really artistic, right? Because this is later. This is not the 1940s or 50s. This is not the recovering from the wartime. This is the 1960s. So, and this is before that little club, right? So this elaborate mat depicting the Last Supper was bought in an antique shop in Hexham. It was made by two Cumbrian sisters, probably during the 1960s. It is quite large, around 8 foot by 5 foot. That is quite large. I'm looking at what it says, but it says anno, so that's not going to help us. I really think this is more of a 70s, 80s piece than a 60s piece personally. I can't be sure of that, but just in terms of the style and the colors, to me it looks a little bit later. Doesn't matter. It's an extraordinary piece, obviously based on the painting The Last Supper. But there are some stylistic choices happening here. Unexpected, beautiful, vibrant colors. Absolutely. This looks like it's hooked with cut up clothing. And again, what we see in all of the photographs in this book are people cutting fabric with scissors. We are never seeing people using any kind of cutting tool or rotary cutter. It is the groove ruler or cutting with scissors. Those are the two choices. Yarn is the groove ruler, otherwise cutting with scissors. I just love the sort of representation of heaven on top, right? The sort of Caravaggio type angels at the top, kind of lazy angels leaning on their elbows, right, at the top, like one of those. And then some hands, maybe friends, I don't know what the significance of the hands is, reaching up and reaching down. Lots of hands in prayer. And again, not exactly sure, but maybe just more people praying. And just a different perspective. This is a God's eye view, no pun intended. So it's a very flat perspective. It's like someone had an idea for heaven and for the hands praying, and they wanted to combine that with the Last Supper motif, but they needed to use the Last Supper painting as their inspiration. And then once they did, it was very hard to figure out. At least this is how it feels. Hard to figure out how to do the above and below, which is a big part of the composition. Otherwise, it's just the Last Supper. Sounds sacrilege when I say just the Last Supper, but you know what I mean. I feel it adds a lot to this piece to have the top and the bottom here. Very, very interesting. I also love the flat quality of the rug, right? It just comes straight down. Absolutely no vanishing point, no horizon line, no perspective. It's just a red stripe that comes down. At first glance, it looks like a continuation of the robe, but it's definitely a stripe in the carpet. So, yeah, beautiful piece. Let me see if there's anything else. I want to read you that poem, so that's probably what I'll do next. There was one more poem that I loved, that I haven't read yet, but that it looked really cute, and I know I'm going to love it, and I want to share it. I just want to be sure. There's lots more great pieces. Did I show you this one? This is like a newer image. Can't remember if I showed you that. Still using the same style frame and all the cut up pieces, right? Just cut up pieces, and looks like Prodi in this case. Not particularly taut, the backing either, not taut at all. And then again, cutting up pieces with scissors, right? So, old school. That's what these episodes are about. They are old school. Now, wait a minute. I'm still missing some pictures. I want to show you this too. Harkening back to our episode on Winifred Nicholson a couple of weeks ago, I think, and that beautiful new book by Jovan Nicholson. This is a Winifred Nicholson I don't remember seeing in that. If you're thinking, we did see it, I think you're thinking of the peacocks. This is a pheasant design made by Barbara Day and designed by Winifred Nicholson, but I don't feel like we saw this one. I feel like we saw peacocks, but not this one. So I at least want to show it. And I've been talking with Jovan. I was very excited because I've been going back and forth with Jovan because I really want to do some stuff with him and display these rugs, which have never come to the U.S., the collection that he's got on tour right now in the UK. And one of the buddies from Viewing, right, sent a message and said that she saw the video, and she went to see the exhibit that is up right now in the UK, right? It moves again later in the summer, but it's up in the UK, the Winifred Nicholson rugs. And she said that Jovan was there and gave a talk, and he mentioned our channel here and that I did the show on him and that we were admiring the rugs. And she said he was super, super proud. And he even had a clip of the video playing during the exhibit, which makes me so happy and proud. And it should make you happy and proud too, that we're sitting here on Friday nights talking about hooking and the history of hooking. And it still makes a difference. It still makes a difference. Someone on the other side of the world and all of the people who came to that exhibit were looking at a video of us sitting here talking about her beautiful work, and now this rug emerges as well. So nothing comes from nothing, right? And okay, let's read that. I want to get you that poem, and then I'm going to log off because I am droopy as anything. Let's find it. It was called, I think it was called the Pradi or the Progging Mat. I should have marked the page, sorry. There are quite a few poems in here. I hope, there it is, the Progging Mat. I hope that everybody who wants this book can find this book. I really do. It might take a little time, but don't feel it's a hopeless thing. It's a book, right? It's a newish book. Nobody threw it out. It's just, I really think eBay UK is the best way to find it right now. And maybe connecting if you have friends over there who might ship it to you. We can always put word out in our group and stuff. There are a lot of British people in the group. In any case, ready for a beautiful poem to end our night? The Progging Mat. I haven't read this before, so hopefully I don't stumble on it. In days of old, when nights were cold, around the fire we'd sit. Some women did embroidery, and others they would knit. Some made a thing of beauty great, as by the fire they sat, and from a pile of clippings came the famous Progging Mat. Old jumpers, socks, and trousers too, no, not a thing was bought. God help the man who fell asleep if she was clipping short. In other words, if her clippings were short, like she needed more, right? She'd prog and prog with fingers sore to get her mat complete. Hey, Bella, where's my other sock? You know I have 2 feet. Now she'd be short of a bit of red to finish off a rose. Jack's tie would be 6 inches short. Just how, nobody knows. Oh, she would cut the tie in half. Bella's man turned out one night in suit so smart and black, a little patch of emerald green just showing on the back. These makers of the Progging Mats held nothing in respect. To have it done by Christmas Day, no matter who they wrecked. In mauves and greens and blues and reds, these Progging Mats were made. If she ran short of clippings, then it meant another raid. This isn't attributed, I'm not done, but this isn't attributed to anybody. Isn't that awful? You daren't go to bed at night when mats were on the go. You dreamt of long johns with no legs, just running to and fro. As you lay there in sweet repose, sedated with brown ale, the phantom progger struck again along the clippy trail. This is so cute, it's crazy. No fitted carpet looks this nice, the colors look a treat. Don't you dare come another step until you wipe your feet. Pull up a chair, make yourself at home, don't sit on the cat. Take off your shoes and curl your toes in mother's Progging Mat. That is the best. That is the best rug hooking poem I've heard so far. Some of them are more melancholy and depressing, you know. That was absolutely adorable. And it's just like this. There's no author, there's no year, it's just this page. That's the whole poem. My favorite part was where it said that nobody was safe when the Progging Mats were made. If she ran short of clippings, then it meant another raid. Oh no, the part where it said the phantom progger struck again along the clippy trail is so cute. It sounds like a fairly contemporary poem because the language is contemporary and funny. It did have like local dialect that I switched to just straight up American English, so you weren't distracted by me trying to make an accent that I couldn't do. This is a beautiful book, and again, I hope y'all can find it. I hope all of you who want it can find it. So again, if you're joining us late, there is no author on this piece. I'm going to show it to you. I'll show it to you on the back, just in case you can pause this video. Let me get it into focus. Just in case, you can pause this video and scan this. Just give it a second. I know the stupid light is there. I'm not going to get the light in it. Really? I feel like when I'm quiet it works better, but it's not. That's not true, is it? Hold on. I really want to do this because some of you might want to look it up. Might not happen. Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess it's not going to happen. Damn it. It's really glossy. Maybe that's the problem. Yeah. In any case, it is Turn a New Page, Newcastle Libraries. So this was printed in Newcastle, so that's in the north of England. Tyne Bridge Publishing. That's the main thing. Tyne Bridge. Is that in focus? Tyne, right? Wait a minute. Tyne Bridge. Okay, right there. Just in case, you can see the ISB number, or you might be able to scan it to do Google Lens if you're interested. But there's all the info about this publication. And I'll just remind you that there is not much in here. Now we do have the year. It is 2011, but this is the intro page, right? There's a dedication and Hook in the Past, and that's what we got. So the editor, there's the editor's name. Yeah. Oh, Doris, good to see you. So take a look. See if you can find it. And if you really enjoyed this episode, then you will also love Monday, because we were looking at this book. This is a gem. Catherine, I can never thank you enough for surprising me with this book, because you didn't just surprise me. You gave a gift to all of us because we were able to share it here, and I really appreciate it. It's so good to get my hands on pieces like this because we can share it here. And then if we can't all own it, at least we can all enjoy it and get, like, some of the meat off the bone, right, in that disgusting way. So you are so welcome. It was great to be together tonight. Thumbs up. Thank you so much. So I will be with you on, you all have a great weekend too. I'll be with you on Monday. I'll figure out what to work on. I'm in a bit of a tailspin coming back from Vermont and having to head out to Cape Cod. I want to bring some of my Halloween stuff so I can work on stuff while I'm there, I'll get everything done. I always do. But it was great being together tonight, and really cute poem, right? So I will see you all soon. If you want me in the meantime, ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Remember to be working on your pieces for Magpie, the Autumn Magpie, which is barn quilts, which means you could do anything fall. But if you want to do anything quilty, this would be a good issue to do something that's actually quilty as opposed to rug hooking, or rug hooking in quilt designs, or anything in between, anything at all, with a fall theme or a quilt theme. So be thinking about that. Because as we head into summer, unfortunately, it's time to think about the cozy autumn and get some content going for that next Magpie time. So be thinking about that and what you might do that you could contribute, whether it's an article or some pieces for the gallery. I would love to have something of yours in there. Even if you are brand new, even if you're new to the channel, I would love to have something of yours in there. And I'm sure that Judy would too. Judy Taylor does the editing. We work as partners on this Magpie Times publication. So be thinking about that. And if you are interested in doing something for the Mystic Carpet, the upcoming Halloween book, another one this year because we weren't done and there's so much left over from the Haunted Rug, let me know, because I do have pieces that I need to have done, and in several different styles. Not a lot of people like primitives, but I have everything. So you can always write me at Ribbon Candy Hooking for any of those things. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. If you're up at Green Mountain, enjoy. And I will see you all on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard